Last season, London City Lionesses gained promotion to the WSL. However, in recent seasons, Championship sides have struggled to adapt to the level of the Women's Super League and have immediately been relegated. But after a strong summer of investment, belief is high that London City can buck this trend. So, are the new additions enough to help London City Lionesses survive? Let's dive into it. So let's start by talking about Jocelyn Proycher. Proycher is the former PSG manager who came in and started managing London City Lionesses at the beginning of last season when they were in the Championship. And he led them to promotion with a dominant display throughout the Championship season, though they were run close by Birmingham City. Proycher's setup usually focuses on high possession. This is one of my biggest questions this season. Will he continue and stick by these principles where he likes to have a lot of the ball, or will he move to a more defensive system? Now, we know Proycher's very adaptable, so potentially we'll see him use something like the 3-5-2, which he started to use at PSG. However he chooses to set up though, we know he'll stick with some of his core principles, including low risk, where they don't want to play risky passes, they want to hold on to the ball at all costs, and this will be helpful regardless whether they're trying to be more offensive or defensive, because holding on to the ball means the opposition can't use it to score. And he'll also focus on positional flexibility as well as central penetrations, looking to create chances in the centre of the pitch. So now let's take a look at the London City Lionesses squad and take a look at some of the new transfers that are going to help supplement the team they already had and some of the players that could really push them to survive in the league. So a lot of people are pushing London City to finish 5th in the table. I don't think they're going to be that high, but I think they've got a squad which could definitely survive in the WSL and challenge a few teams, and I think they could get some very good results. So let's take a look at the overall squad. We expect it to look something like a 4-3-3. Now, I think the midfield is an interesting competition. That's where I want to start because they're quite loaded everywhere else adequately, but midfield's a bit of an odd one because I feel they've got three very good defensive midfielders in the form of Katie Zellem, who's only just joined the club, Perez and Nkumagai. And then they've got three very good attacking midfielders, and obviously the very experienced Kosovora, Aslani and Van der Donk, and then the younger Marashi. But then as a sort of more water carrier midfielder, a less flashy player in midfield who's going to do the hard yards, they've only really got Rodar. And I think, yeah, you could say, well, it's easy enough, if we move Rodar aside, they could play a Van der Donk Aslani midfield too, and that's going to look very creative. But I just don't know who does the hard work in there. I feel they're both very luxury players, and I think this is my problem across the pitch with London City Lionesses. There are some brilliant players here, but it feels a very luxury side. Who in this team is going to do that hard graft? It's why I'm a big fan of the signing of Katie Zellem, because I think that's one of the first signings they've made who's actually going to get really stuck into games, so I'm a big fan of that. But I do feel the side's a little bit too luxury, and if they are drawn into that relegation fight, are there going to be players there with the grit and the determination to pull them out of it? That's going to be my big question, but they have got a lot of experience across the board. So if we move on to the goalkeepers then, I'm very intrigued about this position because they've got four goalkeepers who could all play at a very decent standard, and this is what's going to really intrigue me this season. I think it's going to be Leap that's going to start, but I mean, I think Paul will push for minutes as well. I think Emily Orman will be wanting minutes, and then Hilliard, I just don't see where she's going to get opportunities. I don't even see where Orman's going to get opportunities. So if you're one of these other goalkeepers, I'm surprised they're happy staying at the club because there's four goalkeepers now. There's no way everyone's going to get minutes. So no club needs four goalkeepers, especially not four goalkeepers who are all at a very decent level. You tend to have one very good starting goalkeeper and then a younger goalkeeper and older goalkeeper. And the younger goalkeeper will challenge for minutes and the older goalkeeper will usually be someone who's approaching the end of their career and is happy to be more of a third choice. But it's a weird age profile with these London City goalkeepers. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do there. And I'll be very interested to see whether that creates a bit of unrest in the camp, because if they're constantly competing, constantly changing out their goalkeeper, that could become a real problem. Moving to left back, big fan of Poppy Pattinson. I think that's one of my favourite signings. I think she was one of the best left backs in the league last season. So to pick her up from Brighton on a free, very good piece of business. And I think that, yeah, Pattinson should be pushing for England minutes in the next few years. So definitely one that they have done very well to hold on to. I think Imran will learn a bit under her and be a very handy option as well. So they've got decent rotation in at left back. At centre back then, I think they've done very well to bring in Alana Kennedy, a bit of WSL experience, because I did like some of the signings they've made, but I think you lack a bit of WSL experience with Cardinal, Goldie and Linari. None of them had played any significant WSL minutes. So having Alana Kennedy, someone who's played a load of WSL minutes, that's really important. So I think she's been a really good pickup. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see which of these four is actually going to start, because I think, again, everyone there wants to start, which could be very good because you can rotate the side. You've got different options for different shapes. But yeah, I'm not sure who's actually going to start. My other question would be, if they do want to move towards more of a back three, how are they going to do that while making sure they've still got enough centre-backs to keep everybody fit? Because if they suddenly move to a back three, then they've only got one backup who's having to cover everyone. So that would be my concern there. But obviously they've got players like Jana Fernandez who could probably do a job on the on the right side of a back three. Maybe you could say someone like Bobby Pattinson could do a job on the left side of a back three. They've got options there, but that was my only concern. I'll be intrigued to see who they actually start. I think Lenardi has to start for me, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Taya Gordy and Cardinal. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Lana Kennedy now. So, bit of a selection headache there, but it's not the worst selection headache to have. It's better to have that than the situation at Leicester where they don't have enough centre-backs. Moving on to right back then, they've got some decent options here. Obviously, Jana Fernandez was another beneficiary of, well, London City were a beneficiary of Barcelona's tough financial situation, and Jana Fernandez now moving to a club where she's going to get starting minutes. I think it's a good move for her. I think it's an opportunity to springboard herself into a better club, so I think she'll do well. I think as well the fact that the competition for her place is two younger players is hugely helpful for Fernandez, so it's going to give her an opportunity to have a lot of game time and nurture some other players. But yeah, I think a very decent pickup at right back. I think the back four is fairly complementary. Jana Fernandez is a bit more of a defensive fullback, Poppy Patterson a bit more of an attacking fullback. So I could easily see them using a situational back three at times this season. So we could see something along those lines. Moving forwards, and I've touched on the midfield, I think I'd still want another signing in midfield, which seems mental given how big this squad is. But they have got a lot of young players, so they shouldn't be too concerned on registration just yet. They've got a lot of homegrown players, so that's also not too much of an issue. But as I say, I think maybe someone in there who's going to do the hard yards a little bit would be very helpful. It does also suggest maybe they would push towards more of a 4-2-3-1. So they can use a double pivot of someone like Perez and Kumagai, Perez and Zellum, Kumagai and Zellum, something of these three as a midfield pivot, and then using either Daniele van der Donk or Aslani in this attacking midfield position, and then obviously rotating Marashi and Rodar in, when it's possible. But I think they've got options in that midfield. If they are going to go for midfield three, though, I do wonder who's doing the hard yards in there. That will be my biggest question. Moving out to the left-hand side, I've put Francie over here. Now, I could easily say that Francie is a striker because that's her preferred position. And it's the same reason I put Nikita Paris up front, or at least that's where they've been playing last season. But with them having already a load of strikers, I feel like we're going to see more of Francie on the left. We may see Paris on the right as well, if they are going to trust Isabel Goodwin to play, which they should do. She was brilliant in the Championship last season. She deserves an opportunity to step up. But I feel like they're just going to drop her to the bench, put Nikita Paris out front and play a front three of Francie, Jacobson and Paris, and not give her an opportunity to Freya Godfrey or to Isabel Goodwin, which I think would be a huge shame. But yeah, if it was up to me, I would have Paris on the right-hand side, Goodwin through the middle, and give Godfrey the chance on the left-hand side and see how that works. Obviously, if it doesn't, you've got the experience of Francie, you could put Paris up front, you've got the experience of Jacobson that can come in. But I think to not trust the players who got them to this situation would be a real shame. So I'm hoping we see a lot of minutes for Godfrey this season, a lot of minutes for Isabel Goodwin as well. Some other players to touch on, Jacobson, not 100% of how she's going to adapt to the WSL this season, but we'll have to see what's going to happen there. I am also not 100% sure on Henson, who did play a lot of football last season for them in the Women's Championship, but one of the ones I'm not 100% sure on making that step up. So we'll see what happens on that right-hand side. As I say, though, Nikita Paris is a very good winger, so they could easily do that and deal with that issue. Overall, it's a very, very interesting squad. They've signed a lot of high reputation players. The biggest question is it actually going to work? Which I just don't think you can say with any sort of certainty. Like, yes, there's a lot of exciting transfers here, but we've not seen them on a pitch together. And it's so much business to do in one window. I don't think they're going to go down, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can give them at this age. I think what they've done is they've built a side that just simply looks too good to go down. But I think when you see BBC journalists who haven't done their predictions yet, but you already know what they're going to say, when you see other content creators in the space saying they're going to finish fifth, I just think there needs to be a little bit of hesitancy on London City at this stage. I think they'll be a very interesting team this season, but I don't think they're going to be right near the sharp end competing with the top clubs just yet. I think they've got some players on here who are very good, but it is an ageing side already. There are some very good young players as well, so they've got that progression plan sort of. but I feel like they've brought lots of players who are either a bit mercenary or who are, you know, experienced veterans of the game. But is it all going to click? Are there players in this team who are going to work hard? Are there players in this team who are going to play the roles, the unfashionable roles? That's my biggest question. They've done very well to build what looks like a lovely team with some really interesting players in it. But when it actually comes down to the real world and a system that works and a tactic that works, I'm just not 100% sure this is the best team, but I think they're going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to go down. I think looking at it pound for pound, they're a stronger side than someone like a Leicester, probably stronger than West Ham. They're probably stronger than Tottenham, though again, that depends massively on whether Tottenham are the Tottenham we saw in 23-24, where all their players did really well and outperformed their expected performance, or 24-25, where everyone played terribly. So there's so many variables, but I just look at this London City side right now and it's very hard to predict. It all depends on how they merge together and how Jocelyn Croatia can make them work together. But I think, yeah, if I had to call it now, I don't think they're going to be right at the sharp end. I don't think they're going to get relegated. They're going to be somewhere in that mid-pack. It could be anywhere, really, from, I would say, 7th to 11th. But I wouldn't be one of those at this stage that predicts them to finish top 5. Maybe they'll surprise me. Didn't think Brighton were going to be top 5 in the early part of last season. But I just don't see it at the moment with London City, especially with those first 4 fixtures. I don't think they're going to get a point in those opening few games. And momentum, form, belief, confidence is everything in football. And if they don't have that in the early games, I worry about them being able to find it as the season goes on. So that is everything from me today. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Comment below as well where you think London City Lionesses will finish this season. I'm sure there's going to be some people in the comment section that massively disagree with my thoughts. So get involved in the comment section, let me know your thoughts. On screen there's going to be another video to check out. That's from yesterday where we assess some of the sides in the bottom half of the WSL. So some of the sides that be competing with London City Lionesses. Go and check that video out now. That though is everything. Thank you guys very much for watching and we'll see you next time.